Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, is WWE's PG era finally coming to an end? We'll give you the real reason that AEW have changed Jim Ross's role. We're going to tell you about Sasha Banks asking for big money for non-WWE appearances, and on top of that, 2 new name changes in WWE have been confirmed. I'm Andy Murray.
I'm Michael Hamflet.
And this is the news. You know what we do on a Friday? We hang out with the flat F-U-C-K getting flipped off by Jade Cargill. It's a good time. Stick around for today's questions. News is optional. Flat alligators and the Fiend are essential.
First of all, Flatty, cut the S.
Hey, there we go. More on the flat F-U-C-K later on.
Good teaser. Good teaser.
Kick things off with Andrew Zarian. His reporting last night. This broke the internet for a while because of course it did, given the subject matter. A memo had been circulated, according to Andrew, around USA Network suggesting, or indicating, sorry, it wasn't suggesting, it was straight up telling you that Raw, WWE Raw, from the 18th of July, which is Monday by the way, would be going from TV PG to TV 14. Excitement, a lot of people getting buzzing about that, but a couple of hours later it became a little murkier. Zarian reported that the memo that went around USA had actually been circulated prematurely, and that Raw would not be going TV 14 on Monday. It's still going to be PG as of Monday. But the move is still in consideration for a later date. Now, Fightful Select reported a follow-up report on this matter. I believe Sean Ross Sapp tweeted something along the lines of, I've heard like different things, bits and pieces going on here, stating that there were conflicting messages internally at USA Network about the proposed shift, but that people within WWE had not heard about the ratings change as of Thursday, which is when this report came out. Now, WWE obviously has been PG since 2008?
2008.
Lots of stuff there. Lots of wild opinions. We'll get to those in just a second. But Fightful noted in their report, and rightly so, that if changing from PG to TV 14 doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a massive shift in content or anything like that. WWE, if they self-rated their system, they could effectively air whatever they wanted. If they self-rate as a PG but it goes out as a TV 14, they might still produce PG content. So there's loads to break down with this. We're going to keep it relatively brief because it's such an all-encompassing topic, and I imagine we'll have more out on it later on. But for me, I've never been a PG as the boogeyman guy. I've never been a guy who sat there and goes, hey, the reason WWE is not as good as it was when I was 12 is because it's PG now. I think that I don't think that you can wave a magic wand, remove two letters, replace them with 2 numbers, and suddenly your stories are more satisfying, your action is more satisfying, everything is better. Maybe we'll get a few more swear words on Raw if this change does indeed go through. But what are your beliefs?
Yeah, it's everything and nothing, this, because I agree. I don't think that PG in 2008 magically made WWE terrible for those that loved it before. There was no overnight switch. There are plenty of us old enough to remember the original PG WWE that they had a great time with as well.
Your favourite era?
Indeed. That said, the move to 14 will allow a certain license, obviously, for more, whether it's bad language or more violence, and it could have other policy changes down the line that might offer a bit more creative freedom to wrestlers who then could maybe take the action to a further level. I'm thinking of Cody Rhodes setting himself on fire on Monday Night Raw, as he enjoyed doing once on Dynamite,
of course.
For example. Ultimately, though, Vince McMahon or WWE, whoever's in charge of creative by that point, will have the final say-so, and it's how liberal they want to be with that. It's not going to be, you've nailed it, it's not going to be a magic wand, and people would be foolish to expect it. PG was not the cause of WWE's creative malaise in 2008. It was merely a symptom of it.
Yes, absolutely. And
it's like the bad language might not even occur. They might just think, well, it's easy not to hear. There's still sponsors to consider, even if you're 14. It's still about potentially alienating viewers.
It's a business-to-business company now, right? That's where the majority of the revenue comes from. So they're not going to suddenly do loads of crazy, edgy stuff that's going to piss off sponsors, because that's where most of their money comes from. The money that comes in from fans has never been lower. So while that kind of content might satisfy people who are yearning for a harder product or whatever, it might risk sponsorship revenue, and they're not going to do that. So it's going to be very interesting to follow this. Let us know your comments down in the comments section, obviously. Where else would you put them?
Try and keep them PG.
Yeah, there you go. We will be moderating them, maybe. Right, Jim Ross. He's got a new role, sort of. As of... it started at Forbidden Door, didn't he?
Yes,
didn't it?
yeah.
He's not really doing the full shows anymore. He's not doing a full Dynamite. He comes out halfway through, gets his entrance, calls a couple of matches a show. Forbidden Door, I think he did the last 4, but I digress. It's a clear shift. He gets a big pop when he comes out in the middle of the show. I think that's quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, let him have the pop in the middle of the show rather than just before it started, so the crowd were already, in the moves of the show. But he's spoken about why this is on his Grilling JR podcast, and said it was a Tony Khan decision, and says he gets a humbling reception when he comes out. All of this good stuff. People are glad to see him. The reception's been good. But he goes into the reasoning behind it, and I'll just read you what JR said. Tony thought that the show in the middle, speaking of Dynamite, needed a boost. So JR became the booster. So I come out in the middle of the show, still going to call the main event or main events, plural. Then we all take a bathroom break with the crew and so forth, and then we go straight into taping Rampage. There's more stuff here. He goes, I didn't have any issues with it at all. I said, now I'm Mariano Rivera. I don't know who that is. Somebody let me know. I'm going in for long relief, and we're going to get some results for you. That's the deal there. Just keeping me fresh and special and trying to give Rampage a little boost commentary-wise, selling-wise. Goes on a little bit more, but that's the core of the story. They've been experimenting with their teams recently. I think it's to the product's benefit. Jim's had a long career. Jim's health isn't the best. That comment recently about the orange-sized lump on his leg. Yeah. Like, the poor guy, he's gone through a lot, and he's gone through a lot over the past few years. So to keep him energized and fresh, I think this is a good idea. And it's also nice that as a legendary figure, he gets this pop when he comes out. I think it's positive. It
seems to have been carefully curated and orchestrated to suit everybody. Like, there are people online now, and I get it as well, that after a Dynamite are critical of Jim Ross and maybe some of the mistakes he's made, or some of the times when maybe it doesn't come across like he's a massive fan of
And he should
AEW.
be held to a standard, we should point out.
Of course, absolutely. But there's a compromise there, and that is him getting his flowers once a week, all these cheers that he gets and all the support that he gets, and at the same time being able to kind of, I don't know, like take a step back and take a bit of a break and not be needed as a feature player as much as he used to be with Excalibur, being able to take the lead. Similarly, on Rampage, that desk needed, I think, a bit of drawing in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jericho, Ricky Starks, I'm all for experimenting. You know, we talked about the governor on Rampage just yesterday, but ultimately, I think any opportunity that you've got to steady the ship with a Jim Ross-like figure is for the betterment of the overall broadcast.
Yeah, 100%. How long are you going to be there, mate? No worries. Oh, hey, we're back! Oh, that was chaotic. Little
I'm Flatty, this guy.
You get Flatty just came in, started eating the king of the mic. A nightmare, but we're gonna
bit one of my legs off.
Yeah, it's gone now.
It's gone.
Rubbish. We're gonna go over to Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Money.
Makes a change.
Money. We've got her appearance fee here.
Yes.
Following on from
cool.
Yeah, awesome. We're going to book her, obviously. Following on from yesterday's story about her taking that non-WWE booking at the comics convention in Chicago, Fightful Select have come through and learned her asking price for non-WWE appearances. Now, it should be stressed that these are just for appearances, not matches, which she isn't taking until 2023, reportedly. 30 grand. $30,000. Ace.
Awesome.
Ace.
Huge fan of this.
Know your worth. Know your value. Ask for that big money. Now, there's some comments here. One promoter stated that this asking price is exactly what they expected. They believe that Sasha will be a name in demand after WWE, departing WWE on her own terms. Additionally, she hasn't been a regular at conventions, and she's got a very loyal fan base, so that drives the price up as well. It's believed to be comparable to AEW's Sting, which is interesting. And Fightful source claimed that Ric Flair, Goldberg, Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan were the only names they'd heard of with a higher asking price. The promoter said they'd be happy to book Banks for 30 grand because they know they'd more than make their money back. Now, the weird people who really hate Sasha Banks, and they're out there. are gonna be really upset about this. For me, I say this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like you gotta know your worth. You gotta make as much money out of this thing as possible. You've got to hold yourself to the highest possible standards. Why would you price yourself down and go and do a bunch of work that you maybe don't want to do? Absolutely. It's not like Sasha Banks needs the money or anything. No. She's not sitting there, I assume, not sitting there struggling to figure out where the next, dollar's going to come to pay the rent or whatever. She can pick and choose. She's the person in demand. She's extremely talented. She's great. We think she's awesome. This rules. Good for Sasha. Hell yeah. Ask 400 grand. We'll pay it.
I love this so much, man. I love how the business is cyclical, as they say. Yeah. Everything comes round again. I remember Nash and Hall talking about going to WCW and wanting Sting money, and now Sasha Banks is on the circuit getting Sting money. And we're not even talking about Sting from the Police. I think they're commanding more. If that Englishman was in New York, I don't think he could get 30 grand off Capitol or Titan. I love this. I absolutely love this.
I would pay Sting 30 grand to just never sing again.
Do you know who I'd pay 30 grand for at the convention at the moment, considering how she's carrying 2.0? Roxanne!
Oh no, stop it. Okay. Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah, but so that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
More wrestlers should follow this and remember this for the day when they might suddenly be without WWE. Go and get the money elsewhere.
Get that money.
Really
absolutely.
Cool. Really cool.
We've got another couple of name changes in WWE to run through really quick. As you know, WWE are going through the process of changing the names of people who had established names before WWE. You are obviously the most notable example of this, going from Walter to Gunther, or Gunther, or however we're pronouncing it.
Nice
probably
red,
not pronounced.
Tights. Do you like the red tights?
Yeah, I like the red tights as well. Yeah, it's good.
Shout out to, I wish I could remember who it was that said this on Twitter. Shout out to whoever nicknamed him Zack Sabre Senior. Which is absolutely incredible. That's all that lines him.
That's interesting. I think Zack might actually be older than him.
Yeah.
So that's quite funny.
Because he's now sort of super trim and he's got the red gear on and that. I loved it.
There's maybe a year's difference. That rules.
Yeah.
But anyway, name changes. Grizzled Young Vets, right? PW Insider's Mike Johnson with this report. James Drake is now Jagger Reed.
Ah, yes.
And Zach Gibson is Rip Fowler. There's no word on when this will be reflected on TV, but it's in the works.
They're taking the hoods off as the day adds
yeah,
pretty soon.
Yeah, but
Rip Fowler, that's amazing.
Rip Fowler.
I wonder if he owns a series of houses in Liverpool after a historic scoring career.
After Big Robert.
Yeah.
So the WWE actually filed a trademark application for Rip Fowler on the 4th of May, so this is presumably been in their mind for a while.
Do you think they couldn't have Rip Owens because it was already taken? They were Rip Rush.
Rip Rogers. That's used as well. Yeah.
And he never played for Liverpool. Rip Rogers on the left wing for Liverpool.
Scroobius Rip.
Rip Grobbler.
Rippy long stockings. I don't know.
Rip Henderson.
Let's move on. Shall we move on?
Rip Molby.
Let's do the bollocks.
Go on then.
Rip Molby.
Oh, sorry. As opposed to Liverpool players.
Yeah, of course. Liverpool FC suck.
Let's do it. Yeah, they really do.
Right. I've lost my notes. This if you guys knew what had gone into today's video, you would not believe it.
It's my first Friday at this news crack, and I've had a blast.
Quite appropriate that it has fallen to pieces behind the scenes and on the scene as well. Right, our first question of the day. It's not actually a question. It comes from Andrew Jocelyn. Dwayne the Croc Johnson. There you go. The only reason that's in is because Andrew here has put Dwayne Johnson on a crocodile. You know, he understood the assignment.
You knew what you were doing.
John D. Barker has an actual question, which
Love
is
John
good.
D.
Shout outs
Barker.
to John, lovely, lovely human being. It says, whose house has more adequate seating for flat house parties?
Okay.
Broken Matt, Swamp Lord Fiend, are the guys who leave WWE and immediately try to start up a scam wrestling promotion. Have some turtles. I'm not sure if those are turtles, John. They look like aliens to me.
They look like turtles, but put through the Dali feature.
They do.
Crayon, as it's renamed.
Turtles
through that, yeah.
Draw me a turtle. So whose house do you think has the best seating arrangement for flatties?
Absolutely 100% Swamp Fiend.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Braun Strowman was tied to that rocking chair. And he looked comfy in it.
Yeah.
And if you remember, we've seen Swamp Fiend's house before because him and Randy Orton had a fight in his dirty kitchen.
Of course.
So there was lots of, if nothing else, that house had a lot of seating.
Yeah.
I got the impression Bray Wyatt doesn't get too many people around for the house parties. People say they're gonna, it's one thing, people say they're gonna come, and then all of a sudden, hour before he starts getting texts, oh man, Fiend, traffic's really bad, sorry the Fiend, the kids have been up all night, I'm knackered, I'm really sorry the Fiend, and he's just sits there and
do you know what do you reckon he does? I reckon it's like a Ricky Gervais guitar The Office vibe, where when the vibe's a bit sour, do you think he just goes, get the man? mask.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, like, you know
Pops it
when he got the nose mask made?
Yeah.
That's specifically for parties. He does that thing where he puts a condom on his head and blows it up, and then
Gets his little sausage fingers.
shout out to the Fiend on Twitter. Then now forever together.
There you go.
Fiend WWE, I think he
There you
is,
go.
which is great, man.
Tremendous.
Follow him.
And also, what chair do you think the flap would look funniest sitting on?
Yes.
I think it's a chaise lounge, but imagine just sitting there like this.
I've always wondered because I'm never comfortable on the chaise lounge.
No.
I've never known who they were for. It's crocodiles.
Posh people.
Alligators.
And alligators.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Posh people and alligators. What a combination. Right, our second question. Well, third, I guess. Daft Dad 2, your burner here, chiming in.
I'm daft, mate. I'm just daft. That's what everybody says about
He's
me.
crazy.
He's totally
It's
daft.
like that meme where that person's got the chips on their head or whatever in the frozen set. What is she like? Why is she so crazy? What is she like?
Daft Dad over it.
What is she like? He just picks up this eel.
I know.
He's got this giant inflatable. Daft Dad asks, we've had normal Fiend, we've had Poo Finger Fiend. What will be the next version of the Fiend when he shows up on NXT 2.0? I want an authority Fiender.
Ooh, an
Imagine
authority Fiender. I
the
like
Fiend
that.
showing up in a suit,
Yeah.
making matches and stuff, aping the various authority figures of the years, going War Games, all of that stuff, copying everyone. Yeah, he's got a little door backstage that doesn't have walls. He's got the gavel. It's the Fiend paying tribute to your favorite authority figures. He is the authority Fiender. I hate myself.
I've got it. It's all right. He's the establishment is already in place for the Fiend, and that establishment is Chase U. He's going to go to Chase University. It's Fiend 182. Fiend is going off to college. He's got his own Letterman jacket with F on for Fiend. Like he's going to take Fiend 101. Fiend 102 and Advanced Fiend Studies, and then he's gonna there's gonna be a graduation where
Fiendonomics.
Fiendonomics. Word life. This is
Fiendology.
he's gonna do basic Fiendonomics. Like he's forcing you to fiend him, and then they have the Fiend graduation where there's a bunch of students, but rather than the hats and stuff, they're all in Fiend masks. They're all throwing the Fiend masks in the air, and then they have a rager, and we're back to putting Johnny's on the head over the nose.
Oh my god, it all comes full circle, doesn't
There we
it?
go.
I would also quite like a Fiend.
There's a chugging Fiend. Playing beer pong, but it's just a bunch of fiends.
Have you seen that film, Cockblockers, where John Cena is
Yes.
doing that role and he takes the stuff up his bum?
Have you seen?
Weird.
Have you seen the series of films American Fiend, where the Fiend has full sex with the pie?
Have you seen the Fiend Father when he gets really upset on the day of his daughter's wedding?
Have you seen Fiends All That, where they're like, you're gonna take the ugliest fiend in school and turn her into a princess fiend?
What about there's something about Fiend where he's got the spunk on his face?
Have you seen I Know What You Did Last Fiend? It was just the last time the Fiend was on
I've got the
pay-per-view.
gimmick. Fiend Ventura Pet Detective.
Oh, that's nice.
Fiend Ventura Croc Detective. Right, let's get out of here.
Fiend's Diary. It's like Bridget Jones's diary. It's just a fiend talking about his romantic life.
The Fiend of the Fiends. Right? Fiend of the two Fiend Towers. Right, what have we done?
Fiend, it's the Scream series, but it's just a fiend mask instead of the ghost face.
The Fiend. Right, Christopher Black with our last question of the day. Christoph Black, sorry, asks,
Getting serious.
why does WhatCulture, this is awesome, why does WhatCulture feel the need to remind us that they hate high tension 3 times a month? Seriously, whoever writes for you, rent a new movie. I went on IMDb and gave the movie 10 out of 10, even though I've never seen it, just to spite you guys. F-U-C-K! That's got 3 exclamation marks behind it, so you know he's serious. Well, Christoph, you know what? I thought about this quite deeply, and the reason that we all go on about how much we hate high tension is that it absolutely sucks. That thing is a disgrace to the art form. It is an absolute crime against human creation. That thing went out there and killed the business so flagrantly that it made the business something to laugh at. That it trivialized this thing that we have bled, sweated and cried over for decades and decades. This glorious art form established over the years. It is a joke, it is a disgrace, it deserves every drop of scorn it gets. I wish it could be eliminated from the history books.
I mean, I thought it was alright, actually. Wait, no, High Tension?
The anime.
No, the comic.
I thought it was a novel.
No, it's a burger. I'm sick of High Tension. I'm glad I've got this platform, quite frankly, Murray. Like, I've wanted this World-Born chair for a while to talk about High Tension, because for years, some of the best years of my life, I've been stuck watching High Tension. And just when you think High Tension is nowhere near anymore, bam, there's High Tension yet again in front of your face. No wonder it's in so many lists, because it's High Tension. Oh, sorry, I thought we were talking about Chavo Guerrero. No, High Tension's fine.
You ever seen it?
No.
No, me neither. Anyway, thank you for joining us on today's wrestling news video, where we just criticize a movie we've never seen and talk about alligators and have literally 7 million different creative mess-ups, technological mess-ups in a row. If you're still here at the end, I love you, but you're crazy. Anyway, thank you for joining us. You can follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. You can follow Michael Hamlet on Twitter at
Michael Hamlet.
You can follow me on Twitter at Andy H. Murray. I've saved the best for last. The H stands for Hey Hipsters, his favourite song by his favourite band, The Cribs. After, of course, their song about men's rights that they have.
Look you in the eyes.
They have. Strange guys.
Cribs are feminists for feminists is cool. That'd be Michael
I
Hamlet.
should point out that I don't actually think the song's about men's needs. Shout outs to the Crabs, great band.
He's done it.
Love the Crows.
This is fine. I'm having a really good time.
Hey hipsters! Hey hips! Bye. They're actually all right. You know.